All right, shalom, shalom. All right, all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai. Double honors to the apostles of Great Millstone, and peace and blessings to the elect. Back again with another article, my favorite kind of article. All right, these prophecies, man. All right, this beautiful one. Okay, today, I think it came out today, yeah. All right, it says U.S. stocks tumble as Trump starts trade brawl against the world. Okay, and hey, before I read this, man, I'm just saying the way things are being set up, the way the Most High Yahweh Bahashem Yahweh Shai is setting things up, you can see how he's pinning the world against the U.S. by using Trump to make certain actions that'll cause that. Okay, to fulfill prophecy. So keep going. It says American stock markets reacted negatively after the United States imposed tariffs on steel and aluminum imports from Canada, Mexico, and the European Union. Hey, another article says, what? Bad day for world trade. Brussels vows to retaliate against the U.S. in coming hours. I'm going to read that article after this, but keep going. It says, the Dow Jones Industrial Average dipped over 1%. S&P 500 dropped 0.54%, while the NASDAQ was 0.16% in the red. The sell-off was triggered by the announcement of the U.S. Commerce Secretary Wilbur Ross, who said a 25% tariff on steel imports and a 10% tariff on aluminum imports from its longtime allies would go into effect at midnight. Shares of American steel companies, Steel Dynamics, AK Steel, and U.S. Steel gained between 3.4% and 7.4%, and aluminum producer Alcoa surged 3.4%. Boeing and Caterpillar were losing 1.1 and 1.2% respectively. Fears of a trade war between the U.S. and its allies are buoying by the fact that the U.S. President Donald Trump is also seeking to levy Germany car makers. The U.S. tariffs would be similar to those on steel and aluminum. This is another negotiation tactic on the U.S. side because there are other negotiations going on. The U.S. wants to use tariffs as a bargaining tool for other negotiations. I think it's very important to have a long-term view and not to overtrade in this kind of environment, said Ziwei Ren, Managing Director and Portfolio Manager, Penn Mutual Asset Management, as quoted by Reuters. All right, well, we're just going to wait and see what happens, man. So, we're going to the next article. I believe it should be. There it is. Bad day for world trade. Brussels vows to retaliate against U.S. tariffs in coming hours. Oh, that's a beautiful thing, man. All right. And hopefully they do. And it does, man, mess up this economy real bad. Okay, it says the EU will introduce swift counterbalancing measures to steel and aluminum tariffs imposed by the U.S., according to the president of the European Commission, Jean-Claude Juncker. This is a bad day for world trade, so we will immediately introduce a settlement dispute with the World Trade Organization and will announce counterbalancing measures in coming hours. Juncker said in a speech in Brussels, it is totally unacceptable that a country is imposing unilateral measures when it comes to world trade. The response followed Washington's decision on Thursday to impose a 25% tariff on steel imports and a 10% tariff on aluminum imports from the EU, Canada, and Mexico. The countries had been granted a temporary exemption from the tariffs introduced by the White House on March 1st. The metal tariffs will come into force at midnight on Friday, justifying U.S. steel. So I believe that should be basically in a couple hours. All right, justifying U.S. steel tariffs based on national security concerns is grotesque, according to Germany's Steel Industry Association. The U.S. measures are a protectionist intervention in the international trade and run counter to principles of the World Trade Organization. The body said in a statement calling for a swift World Trade Organization decision on challenges to the tariffs. Canadian authorities said they would take retaliatory steps responding to the U.S. metal tariffs, according to government sources, as quoted by Canadian TV channel Global News. You see, and this is what is riling up all the U.S.'s allies, all right, and the rest of the world. Okay, and it's just, all it's doing is just putting the U.S. into a corner. They're backing themselves up into a corner. Okay, and all these nations, they're gonna turn, man. Okay. Canadian authorities said they would take retaliatory steps. I read that. Canada has already mulled over several countermeasures, with the decision expected to be made after consultation with relevant ministries and heads of the region, the channel reported Thursday. U.S. Commerce Secretary Wilbur Ross said that no reprisals over the measure will have an impact on the American economy. See the pride? Oh man, the official said he believes there will not be a long-term impact on relations with affected countries, and they will get over this in due course. President Trump said the U.S. has been unfairly treated in trade with its neighboring and overseas partners. The U.S. president has threatened to respond to any new EU trade barriers with a tax on cars produced by European automakers. Hey, hopefully this ain't like that quote unquote trade war with China, and this one actually leads to some real damage, man. Okay, because hey, that's a beautiful thing. This is a beautiful couple articles to wake up to. Hey, we just gotta watch and see what happens. All right, because the Lord is definitely working. Okay, and so just keep watching. Matter of fact, let me just get a preset real quick. All right, because they basically saying that no, nothing's gonna happen. First Thessalonians 5:3. All right, it says they shall get over in due season. Well, it says, for when they shall say peace and safety, then sudden destruction cometh upon them. You have that U.S. Guy who's basically saying how the American economy is not gonna be affected, when he must have lost his mind. All right. It says, then sudden destruction cometh upon them as travail upon a woman with child, and they shall not escape. Because what? They think they know what they're doing. They got it under control. Nah, bro. The Most High is in control. Okay? And he's setting you all up. Alright? That's why, verse 6, therefore let us not sleep as do others, but watch and be sober. Okay? So that's our job as prophets. We got to keep watching and for things like this and report them. All right, and lo, this is edifying unto the elect. All praises to Yahweh by Hashem Yahushai and Shalom.